All right, let's talk about something that's on pretty much everyone's mind right now. Artificial intelligence in our schools. Is it a good thing? A bad thing? It's a massive conversation, so let's just jump right in.
And really, this whole debate, it kind of boils down to this one critical question right here. Should AI tools be integrated into daily school assignments, or do they hinder original thinking? So let's do just that. Let's break it down and look at both sides.
Yeah, so which one isn't? Are we looking at a revolutionary tool that's going to completely supercharge how the next generation learns? Or is it just a cognitive crutch, a shortcut that might actually weaken the very critical thinking skills we're trying so hard to build? Let's get into it. First up, let's make the case for AI. Let's look at the argument for welcoming it into the classroom with open arms. The people on this side, they don't see a threat at all. They see an incredible opportunity.
Okay, so the biggest promise, the number one selling point for AI in education is this idea of true personalization. I mean, just imagine a world where every single student has their own personal tutor, one that's available 24/7 and actually understands their specific learning style, their pace, their gaps in knowledge. That's the vision.
And here's how that would actually work. It's kind of a powerful four-step process. First, the AI figures out where a student is at, their current skill level. Then, and this is the cool part, it adapts the curriculum in real time to meet them right there. It gives them instant feedback, so no more waiting a week for a graded paper. And finally, it keeps suggesting new challenges that are just right, so they're always growing.
And the benefits don't stop there. Think about it. AI can handle all the boring, routine tasks for teachers, freeing them up to, actually teach. It gets students comfortable with tools they're almost definitely going to use in their future careers. And it can make really complex subjects like physics or calculus way more accessible through new simulations or explanations. All of this, in theory, just makes learning way more engaging.
But, of course, there is another side to this story. For every one of those optimistic takes, there's a pretty serious concern about what we might be losing when we lean too heavily on these tools. So now let's explore the case against AI.
And at the absolute core of that concern is this very human skill, original thinking. You know what I mean? It's the ability to really wrestle with a problem, to connect ideas that don't seem related, and to create something totally new. It's not about just finding an answer that's already out there, it's about building one from the ground up.
This quote, man, it just captures the fear perfectly. If the tool does the thinking, the student's mind may not. If a student can just ask an AI to write an essay or solve a complex math problem, does their brain ever really get the workout it needs? Are they building those mental muscles? That's the worry.
And this worry leads to some very specific risks. It could discourage students from really digging into a text to find its deeper meaning. The ease of just copying and pasting makes plagiarism a gigantic issue. And what about fundamental skills, like how to search a library database or evaluate sources? Those could just fade away. And what you're left with is a potential dependency on technology to do the thinking for you.
So you can really see the two sides of the same coin here. The exact same technology that can be an incredible ally, personalizing learning and building skills for the future, can just as easily become a crutch. A crutch that encourages plagiarism and lets those core thinking skills get weak. The potential for amazing good and, well, for some pretty big problems, exists in the very same tool.
So where does that leave us? Are we just stuck between these two extremes? Well, not necessarily. The most forward-thinking folks in education are arguing that the conversation itself needs to change. It's not about if we should use AI anymore. It's about how we use it. And this is the crucial idea. We need to reframe AI's role. It's not an autopilot that just takes over. Think of it more like a co-pilot. It can assist, it can suggest things, it can process a ton of information, but the human student, they have to stay in the pilot seat, making the critical decisions and steering their own learning.
So what does that look like in practice? Well, we need a new framework. First, we have to teach students prompt engineering, which is basically just the skill of asking AI the right questions to get useful results. We have to encourage them to use it for brainstorming ideas, not for getting final answers. We also need to make it standard practice to cite AI assistants, just like you'd cite a book. And maybe the biggest change of all, assignments need to focus on the process, not just the final product. Imagine an assignment where you turn in your AI prompts, the AI's messy first draft, and then your final version where you explain all the errors you corrected. That's creating the thinking, not just the result.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this one thing.
The most important skill in the age of AI probably isn't knowing an answer off the top of your head. It's knowing how to question the answer. It's about teaching students to be skeptical, to double-check information, and to use AI as a starting point for their own thinking, not as the final word.
So we end up back where we started, but with a totally new perspective. The debate isn't really tool versus threat anymore, is it? The real challenge is a teaching challenge. It's about empowering students to be the masters of this technology, not the other way around. And that is a question every single one of us needs to be thinking about. Thanks for tuning in.